Welcome back to the Moisture Farm. Today, what I got for you, a couple days ago, went to my local game store. Shout out to Fire and Ice once again. Took Jango Tarkentown to a small constructed tournament. There was, I want to say, 12, maybe 14 of us that competed. And we just do like $6 buy-ins, playing for store credit, but it's a good chance to check out what people are trying to build competitively, what they're trying to get to do to win. And this is my first chance of, bringing a Jango deck around these constructed decks, see how it does against some stuff that's really trying to put on an effort to win. It was kind of like a last second decision for me to play Jango, which I don't recommend doing. If you are taking competitive stuff seriously, definitely prepare ahead of time, know what you want to play before you go to an event. For me, I literally rolled a dice between playing this or Sabine, and because of that, I didn't bring a sideboard. I just kind of rolled with it, and because of that, when we go through our gameplay, I'll tell you during the match kind of what I would have sideboarded if I was really playing this in something a little more serious, like a store showdown or obviously like a PQ or something like that. Without further ado, actually, just kidding. There is something before further ado. If you have not seen my Jango Tarkentown deck list, I have a video testing this deck already. The only difference is I got my full playset of Ruthless Raiders, so that's the only change I've made to this deck since that video. So go check that out if you want to know what I'm playing in this. Now, without further ado, let's jump into some gameplay. Alrighty, my first matchup of the night was against a Bossk Blue. The footage that you're about to see is actually from Game 3 of the Swiss rounds, best of 3. We do Swiss. So going into Game 3, Game 1, he actually was able to mill me out, which is the first time that's happened to me in a live game before. Milled me out, and I just did not, this deck does not really have a crazy top end to compete with Bossk's top end, so that was tough for me. Game 2, my opponent, shout out Jackson, couldn't really get his card draw engine going, and I was able to just exploit that and use that to my advantage. So took Game 2 from him. So now we go into Game 3. Like I said, I didn't have a sideboard prepared for this. So let me tell you, while we're getting started here, what I would have sideboarded. Obviously, I already have my big anti-control piece. Both of us are going to skip our turn 1, by the way, going to turn 2. So Lurking Tide is my big control piece. It's already main decked in here. The Shadowed Intentions, which is the upgrade that basically gives it Lurking Tide's ability, with the caveat that you also can't bounce it with card abilities. That would have definitely been sided into this matchup. And also, so Jackson's going to play down the Client, comes in with that shield, one of the best tools that this deck has to offer. And also upgrade removal would be the other thing I'm siding into this. I'm going to go ahead and get 3 into base. The Fang Fighter absolutely would have been sided into this, and probably even confiscates because of how much he utilizes the bounty mechanic, as we see one come down, Deathmark, part of his card draw engine. Get rid of that shield with ISB Agent, and he's going to put 1 damage into my Punishing One. I always like going against Bossk, playing those big body units like Punishing One. It's definitely not a free claim for Jackson. He's got to go get that, because relying on Bossk's ping to take care of that is not going to be good for him. For me, when I'm going up against a Bossk in a mid or aggro, I guess tempo oriented deck like this is, I really want to put pressure on him to have to rely on his healing, such as the Client, making openings, things like that. I really want him to have to rely on those cards to win him games. And just get in damage as quickly as possible. I'm able to swing ISB Agent into the client so that he's unable to put a heal bounty on. Bossk is going to come into flip. We're going to get 3 in on base. And he's going to make an opening, the punishing one, just so he can get that bounty, and he'll claim twice. So he's drawing a lot of cards here. He's got a ton of cards in hand now, which is not favorable for me. Got to somehow make do with that. And I'm going to send the Lurking Tie in for 7. This is what I'm talking about. Like, big swings like that create as much of a distance in base health as possible, so that he is absolutely relying on those big plays to, either prolong the game or get himself out of danger as far as lethal damage on base. Flip Boba Fett here. Bossk is going to take out ISB Agent, so he's going to draw more cards. He can only trigger that Bossk ability once per round, so he'll just get to do it once. And then I'll put the Flamethrower on Jango, which is not an ideal matchup. Jackson's going to go ahead and claim, and I'll go ahead and take out the client. I've got 1 damage left to spread, so I'll put it onto Bossk. Yeah, upgrading units is not really a good strategy going into Bossk with so much removal in his hand, especially when he's drawing so many cards. It is nice, a lot of the removal is limited to non-leader, so if you're going to upgrade any unit in your arsenal, Jango's the way to go, or your leader, I guess, in general. So yeah, Jackson, going up against the most effective hard control deck in the game, he has got a lot of resources, and he has got a lot of cards in his hand, and he's got initiative. So I am at his mercy right now. I'll go ahead and Perilous Position the Lurking Tie, which takes care of it. And going into base and spreading the Vambrace onto Bossk. So that worked out for me this time, getting that Flamethrower onto Jango. It does put pressure on Jackson to get rid of that as quickly as possible. Here comes another card draw engine for him in Pershing. I've got all of my resources up. Decide to lay down the Fire Spray. He's only got 1 up. Felt safe doing that at that time. And he's going to top target it just so that's there when he's able to remove it. And we're getting pretty close to our Super Laser Blast phase if we're not there already. I believe if I play that down for 6. So we've got a couple more phases, I suppose, before that. But certainly with so many cards in his hand, he's thinking he's got a way to deal with that. Once again, got some autofocus cheese on my camera. It's driving me crazy. I apologize for the inconsistency there. Pretty strong board for me with Jango and the Fire Spray out right now. Merciless Contest is coming out, so I'm going to have to defeat the Fire Spray, and he's going to get to heal 5. So he's back down to 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 damage on base. And I'm going to, I believe, just swing Jango in here. Got some cards in my hand trying to deliberate here, but I do feel like I just need to get that damage in. Force Jackson to either early claim or use his resources for some card. Now goes to 22. Action's going to be on Jackson here. You can see he's got the Laser Blast in his hand. He's also got the Avenger in his hand. He's going to entrench Jango, which will keep Jango from attacking his base, which looks good for him. And this is what I mean, like a sideboard, hopefully right there I would just be able to drop the Fang Fighter and keep my options open. But Lurking Tie is not bad either. Lurking Tie is safe against the Super Laser Blast, so that's going to be really helpful for me. That's a big threat for Jackson on the board. He's doing a good job at maintaining initiative. He's in a perilous position right there. Now Jango is all I have left, and I can't do anything with him with that entrenched on. I'm putting down a shielded 7th Fleet Defender. Not my strongest play here. But I'm definitely weary that Super Laser Blast is got to be close by, and I don't want to put anything out there. I mean, he can't use it this phase now that he's perilous position, but building up a board state at this point in the game is not ideal. You're not trying to go super wide at this point because especially because he hasn't played any of them yet, and with all that card draw, I know there's a good chance that he has it. So I'm not necessarily playing as many cards from my hand as possible. I'm not resourcing any of my higher cost plays here. And as you can see, 3 Daring Raids in hand. I think I chuckled about it earlier. So just going to deal 6 to his base after he's claimed initiative. So now we are at 25, 6, 7, 8. Like I said, I really just want to you have to put base pressure on. That's the most you can do. And down comes Vigilance. He'll get to heal and take care of the 7th Fleet Defender. You can see I've got the Starfighter in my hand there. Doesn't really do me any good. Play the ISB agent, which is probably just, I'm putting that down just to force Jackson to early claim or do something. I believe he's soft passed here. We'll play down the Starfighter. And now we go to, then the further in phases that this game goes, the more disadvantaged I am. So, pretty scary stuff here. You always know that these Bossk games are going to be a grind. You can see I've got a Fire Spray in hand, which when played at a timely situation is going to give me a chance to win the game. Jackson is going to Super Laser Blast finally. He has 23 damage on his base right now. I'll play the Fire Spray, knowing that he's got no way to, with 2 resources, he's got no way to take it out immediately. So I can play that down safely just to get 5 in on base. Trying to put as much pressure as possible. He hasn't been able to get any damage into my base, which he's not worried about. Power of the Dark Side, my Fire Spray keeps him alive. He's not worried about the damage on my base right now because if he can just get one of those big heal plays going, Cartel Spacer's going to come down. All those resources for Jackson. There's a lot of things he could do here. He knows if he's able to mill me out in game 1, he knows that he can do it. And he tries to play the Avenger, realizes he was 1 resource short, I believe, so he'll just put down a Snoke, which puts Cartel Spacer down to a 0-1 as a unit. Gives it -2, -2. So as it stands, Cartel Spacer is not going to be able to swing into anything, but what Jackson is unaware of, we're at the Moisture Farm here, and that's a Moisty play right there. Took initiative, have the Surprise Strike, which is able to do lethal damage to Jackson as he was at 20, let's see. Yeah, he is at 10, 25, 6, 7, 8. So he feels safe dropping down that Snoke, letting me take initiative. But the Surprise Strike is able to pump the Cartel Spacer enough to do lethal damage. That is the Moisture Farm Moisty play of the week right there. That's what I'm calling it. Love seeing stuff like that come out. And so we take care of Bossk, and that was game 3. So we come away in round 1, starting off the day 1-0. And let's get into our next matchup. All right, so first matchup. First matchup, we got the win. Second round, we're going in to a double yellow Han, which is a deck that I really don't have a lot of experience playing against. It's kind of positioned itself in this game as, like, everyone knows it's really good, but it's definitely tricky to play right. It takes a more experienced player to really nail it. And so for that reason, I guess I just haven't really put myself in situations where that's coming down a lot. So go ahead and start with Kylo's tie. And he's going to go with L37. Shout out to my man Cody on the other side of me running the Showcase Han. Beautiful Showcase. One of my favorites in the game. It's just a good looking card. So, double yellow Han, I know obviously he's going to be running those 3 copies of Vigilance. So, he's playing a tempo game for sure where he wants to, really get like one phase in where he pops off and then, kind of runs away with the game at that point. So, use ISB agent just to crack that shield. Obviously in Jango, we do not like shields around here, so take care of that as soon as I can. And use that breaking in that I revealed to put in some damage with Kylo's tie. Cody's got the tech down, which is a scary play, scary card in this deck. A lot of resource meddling, being able to play those cards with Smuggle. Obviously the tech DJ combo is looming on the horizon right now. So I've got to know that that's coming. So he's got 4 damage to swing on his side. I'm showing the same on mine. I know with ISB agent I can just put 1 into something and keep it from swinging at me. So I'll put it into the L37 and exhaust it. He's going to put that extra card into resource. I'll go ahead and get some damage on base. And he'll swing tech into my base. You can see in my hand I've got a lurking tie. Trying to decide if I want to play it now. And I'll play the Death Star Stormtrooper maybe, knowing that he's got full resources up. I don't want him to bounce a lurking tie if I do play it. So forcing Cody to make a decision with his resources here before I commit to playing the lurking tie. Don't want that to be, if he waylaid the lurking tie and then was able to use, 2 more resources to do something else, it would look really bad for me. So the Falcon's going to come down ready, which is also not an ideal situation for my lurking tie. So I'll Tarkin Town the L37 because it's an action I can take, and we'll keep the Falcon from swinging into lurking tie if I play it. He'll swing it into the tie silencer, and he feels good about doing that because I've used my Tarkin Town, and now I'll play lurking tie, which is protected at least for this phase. If there is a 2-cost play in his hand, he's tempted to not take it and claim initiative so that he can deal with that card, which I believe he does, and he sees that I'm all tapped out, so he's got nothing to worry about there. So I have been able to go decently wide here. We're going into resource 5, which is my leader flip turn, and technically his because he can borrow a card into his resource pool to flip on this phase. So likely that we see both leaders come out here, and he's got initiative. He's got to decide what he wants to do first. He's going to keep the Falcon up by using the resource that he destroyed. So, I guess keep it out, not keep it up. It will obviously untap. So Cody's got to figure out what he wants to do here first. He knows he's playing the tempo game. He wants to take out the Stormtrooper. Doesn't want me to be able to put 3 into anything. Tech survives that, so he's not worried about it. And I'm going to surprise strike the Lurking Tie in for 7 to try and punish him for not going after it. Basically, you know, the way that the cards are being dealt to me and the way that I'm playing this, I'm trying to keep up with that tempo. He Spark of Rebellions me for my only card left in hand. So now I no longer have a hand, which means I can only spend those 2 resources that phase, which it does not look good. But I'm able to flip Jango. He's going to bring that resource down. I'm going to put 3 into base. I probably should have taken out Tech here. That was probably a mistake on my part. But I'll swing ISB Agent into Han to keep Han from attacking, which keeps another resource from coming into play. And he's going to Cunning, so he'll bounce the Lurking Tie and buff the Falcon. He knows I've got to claim initiative, so he just goes ahead and swings it. And yeah, that's a big play for him to bring him right in control of things. Like I said, Tech should have been gone. That's a misplay on my part. I should have taken that out, especially, you know, we haven't seen the DJ yet. And with the board state that he has, if he does play that DJ, that momentum swing is probably going to be too much for me to take on. He does have 18 damage to my 11, but I am also playing a 25 base. So force choking Han, letting him draw a card, but it'll keep some Han shenanigans from taking place this phase. So, you know, just got to take it as you can get it at this point. The Falcon is still up and alone in space. It would be a good unit for him to, you know, lay down a surprise strike or something. He'll take Tech into base before I can take him out with Jango, which is, I think, smart for him. And I decide to go into base again, probably just stuck in my pressure mentality. 2 chances where I could have taken out Tech and I did not. And that just goes, honestly, that's lack of playing against Han experience on my part. That card should be out of here. And that looks really bad now. I daring raid Falcon after he's able to surprise strike into it. I guess I was just being greedy, thinking that he was going to try and buff it with Cunning, and then I would take it out. So just some greedy and beginner moves on my part. And now we are sitting 22 on his to 19 on mine, 5 within lethal. He can 6 within lethal. So can't surprise strike in to win, but he does have things to do here. And there comes DJ. And there goes a resource from me. Big play for him because I believe that keeps me from being able to use a fire spray if I had one, which I don't. There is a Ruthless Raider in my hand that I don't get to play. This was, I believe, game 2 of this matchup. He took game 1, just had the perfect tempo plays. So I'm already down a game here. Not looking good, but I'll play the Lurking Tie, knowing that he won't be able to bounce it. Just kidding. He stole my resource. He bounced it. So looks real bad for me, and he's most assuredly going to destroy that resource. Doesn't deal any damage to my base that phase, but does keep me from doing any of my, bringing any sort of a board state into the game for me. And he's got a commanding 8 resources in play to my 6. Got to figure out what I can do here. In a tough spot. Got to find some way to, get him to within lethal damage. I put 3 into DJ and exhaust him, which will force him to either take haunt action or pay resources. Looking through, I would imagine for a smuggle card. Maybe another tech. Probably has another tech in hand, trying to decide if he wants to lay that down and play a card from his resource pool. So he goes ahead and take Han's action. So now he's got 9 resources to play with this phase. And yep, destroying that resource. I should be at 6, or I should have been at 6 resources a while ago. And he mistakes this Enfy's Nest for the old one. He is going to bounce Lurking Tide, but he's not ambushing Jango. So yeah, I mean, being that far behind on resources, and having one getting DJ'd, it was a tough card draw for me. In both of these games, I never saw, or was never able to get down any of my 6-drop ships. I think I do have the Ruthless Raider in my hand, but maybe not. So I'm staring down the Enfy's Nest and the DJ. I'm most likely going to have to sacrifice my leader into Enfy's Nest to prevent that 5 damage from coming across. Unless, here comes the Starfighter, I can ping it and exhaust it. Keeps my leader alive. He's going to take out Jango. And now still has all of his resources open. Can I find a way to put more pressure on him? Bring in a Lurking Tie. And it's ambushed away. I claim initiative, and there goes down another tech. And now, with 19 damage on my base, he's able to do 5 with Enfy's Nest, another 2 with tech, and then I think the gunship goes in for 3. So the beautiful thing about the Starfighter is that I can swing it into the gunship and kill it, and then deal the damage to Enfy's Nest and exhaust it, which I believe is the only thing I can do to save me. And thus we go. Now he's going to inch a little bit closer with tech. I do have all my resources up. I can put the pressure on him with a fire spray, but instead I'm going to daring raid his base. I don't know what else I have in my hand that makes me think I can do that. And now goes the Falcon. That's what I was worried about, him having that in his hand. So I daring raided to kind of stall and make him use resources or early claim so that he couldn't ambush my fire spray. That's what I was worried about. It's not going to do me any good at this point. but I am going to play the Fire Spray. And, you know, whatever action I take next, he's going to claim initiative, and he'll be able to do lethal damage. So that does it for me. I believe I just conceded at this point. And so I lost 0-2 to that to Cody's Han Yellow, bringing me to 1-1 in the tournament for that point. Spoiler alert: Cody does go on to take first in this event. So at the end of it, you know, don't feel too bad for losing that game. I did in round 3 played a set 1 Han green, and took that game 2-0. So ended up going home 2-1 and took third overall out of the 12 or 14 of us that were there. So you know, Jango was able to do some good things, you know, against other people's constructed decks. Was able to be effective. There was one other Jango Tarkentown as part of the event, and he came in 4th. So both decks did pretty well compared to everybody else. I think next time we do constructed, I'm going to break out Sabine and give it a go against these newer set 3 builds. So yeah, Jango Tarkentown, you know, it's a real competitive player. You know, I'm sure that this community is going to be seeing a lot of it in the future. So there we have it. See you guys for the next one.